You were just in Nashville to hear RFK and Trump talk about Bitcoin. Let's jump there. How much did that surprise you? And how meaningful is that to everyone listening here, everyone who's a
Yeah,
Bitcoin
let
owner?
me talk about RFK first, even though I think it's obviously, well, not obviously, a million things can happen between now and November, but it's highly unlikely that he would win. But having the first presidential candidate speak was astounding. And the reason that it was astounding is he was not pandering. I mean, this guy has gone deep. He has a
He means
huge
it. Yeah.
Bitcoin holding personally. He was describing the technology. I have friends that have spent time with him on this. He's done many podcasts in my kind of crypto sphere where he's gone deep on broken money, and it's truly astounding the degree to which he has dug in on not only the history of our fiat system and how Bitcoin works, but how Bitcoin can complement the dollar or any fiat system for that matter, or other commodity based system. And he's gone super deep. And his presentation and his recommendations for the government to hoard Bitcoin were not realistic, by the way. But if we got a fraction done of what he was talking about, it would be astounding. I mean, his idea, which is bold, and I love bold ideas, I know you do, was we should basically have equal percentage of the world's Bitcoin in the U.S. reserves as we do in the world's gold. I actually don't agree with that, which I can explain why. But my opinion is less important. What's important is to your question, we had a viable presidential candidate saying that for the first time. Now, the first person who was on a presidential ticket of any kind that I heard talk about this was also there, and that's Vivek Ramaswamy. A lot of your
Mhm.
audience may not even know who Vivek is. He is in among libertarians, he's a hardcore libertarian. Okay.
And a very persuasive speaker.
Very, I mean, unbelievable. I mean, I am mesmerized when he talks, and I am not easily mesmerized. It's truly like his knowledge of American history. I've never heard anything like it.
It's amazing.
I wish I have a minor in history of science. I wish that my knowledge of scientific history was 1/20th of his knowledge of American history. Anyway, he has been talking about fixing, ending the Fed, fixing the money, and the problem is that these all seem like crazy ideas to the average American who's just not informed on this stuff. And they're really not that crazy ideas. We didn't have a Federal Reserve for the first half of the existence of the United States, and we survived just fine without trillions of dollars worth of debt. So you could actually make a case, well, maybe we were better off without a bunch of private bankers. By the way, the Federal Reserve is run by private bankers, right? So they do report to Congress, but it's basically private bankers who basically decide to increase and decrease the money supply, largely to their own benefit, right? So anyway, so the third person who was on a presidential ticket that spoke was obviously President Trump. Now, behind the scenes, myself and a few others, and full disclosure, donors, whatnot, have been talking to him, courting him to say, look, I hate to make this all about politics, but our space, our industry has been attacked to no end the last 4 years. I've never seen anything like it. I've been involved in venture capital investing since my Netscape days. Even when I was at NASA, I had friends who were doing VC, so I knew about it. I knew how it worked. So I'll give myself a little credit and go back 30 years. I didn't know what a Wells notice was until I got into the crypto space. Even though I've done dozens of venture deals over time, all of which have, are registered deals with the SEC. You're issuing private stock. It gets registered with the SEC. Companies go public, registered with the SEC. Never heard of a Wells notice. Almost every major company in the crypto space that I'm friendly with has either received a Wells notice, has received a subpoena threatening a Wells notice, or is in the process of being investigated, potentially leading to a Wells notice, or is already past that point and is now fighting in court or settled.
All right, so tell us what a Wells notice is.
A Wells notice is basically the SEC's informing you of their intent to sue you for some securities violations. And I'm not a lawyer, so I'm giving you the bill speak on this. And mathematically, okay, what are the odds that our one space has found every fraudster, every evil CEO, every lawbreaker, and managed to put them all in one space and wait for 35 years when all of tech in Silicon Valley, where I've grown up, right, physically grown up because I've been here most of my life now, has never heard of a Wells notice. I would say the odds of that are zero. So clearly there's something else going on here, right?
How do you spell witch hunt? Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, strange bedfellows, right? So now we come back to President Trump speaking in Nashville, and behind the scenes, people are
By
saying,
the way, Nashville was the Bitcoin conference.
yes, it's the largest. There are multiple Bitcoin conferences in the U.S. around the world. Bitcoin is not a company; it's not owned by anyone. So there are lots of them. This happens to be the largest, run by Bitcoin Magazine. David Bailey's been a longtime friend, great guy. He was instrumental, by the way, in what we call in our world orange pilling President Trump. And not only basically arranging for influential donors like the Winklevoss twins and others in our space to spend time with him, but to explain to him and to actually get his feedback in a very engaging way on why this has been a problem, why we're being attacked, why this has to stop. So he got on stage and he didn't really know how, I guess he was coached, SEC's been a problem. Like, I guess he can relate to that. But he went on stage and said on day one, now he said a lot of things, okay, about crypto, about Bitcoin. Some of the Bitcoin maxis don't like the word crypto, by the way. Right. I think that's silly. It's just a word.
They don't want to be mixed up in the crypto shitcoins.
Yeah. Right? And I don't agree with that. It's a word. And so its meaning, its intent, its context is what matters. But anyway, so he got up there, said a lot of interesting stuff, was clearly prepared. And he rambles a little bit like President Trump is known to do. And then he says, and on day one, I will fire Gary Gensler. And the crowd of 8,000 people literally goes bananas and loses their mind. Now, he had no idea. He was like, I don't even know if these people know who Gary Gensler is, because I'm guessing right now a lot of your audience is Googling who is Gary Gensler. Gary Gensler is the chairman of the SEC. The SEC, I believe, is run by a commission of 5 commissioners and presidential appointees, I believe, and one is based upon who is in power in the executive office is made commissioner. And so he's the senior executive for overseeing the securities industry in the United States. And so, he is basically, for all intensive purposes, an Elizabeth Warren appointee, hell-bent on killing our industry. And again, I'm not here. It's not about politics. It just is.
Got it.
I don't want this to be true. I've voted Democrat before in my life. I don't really care that much about the difference, but they both print money ad nauseum, right? So for me, it's about, why are you killing this technology that is the future of money and banking? And so, it's clear. And so he was blown away. He was like, "Oh,
I think he was so blown away that he said it again."
He did. He repeated. He said, "Let me repeat that." and he was taken back. Like I said, he probably believed when they told him to say it. Are you sure these people even know who this guy is? And we knew.
I'm curious in your opinion, for both RFK, for Vivek, and for Trump. Is it the size of the population holding Bitcoin that they're focused on getting the attention of, or is it the long-term benefit for America and humanity of Bitcoin? What's the mix?
Well, there? Okay, I think it's 3 things, and I'm going to be brutally honest. Some of it is money, right? I mean, like, he's got large donors in my world now, Trump in particular, right? And Vivek did last year as well when he was running in the primary for president. He was the first person willing to stand up for us, and it got him a lot of attention, which I think helped propel him into Trump's arms. And I wouldn't be surprised if he has a cabinet position or an economic position in Trump's cabinet. And I hope he does. But I think it's 3 things, right? I think the first is money. I think the second is, I think that the Democratic Party underestimated the number of crypto holders who not only hold this, but truly care about this and believe it's important, to the tune
so
of,
what is that number right now, you think?
I would guess it's probably, crypto holders in the US is probably 50 to 70 million, right? It's a
50
lot.
to 70 million individuals. That's a lot. It's a significant.
It's a lot. And thank Robinhood for some of it, right? Coinbase, obviously, I mean, we don't deal with the small dollar retail but they've done a fantastic job in making that available. Even PayPal, right? Um, that is easily now for all those people, they're not single issue voters, right? But you can only push a cat into a corner so far before it's going to try to scratch your eyeballs out. And so I think that when you factor in the other issues that matter, the percentage where this is single issue voters, I think we represent 3 to 5 percentage points. I really do. That's
Mhm.
insane for a space that didn't exist,
Yeah.
a few years ago. They totally underestimated that. Now, the third part is, and honestly, for me, there's another announcement that happened afterwards that was just as important as the president
Please.
speaking. But for me, it's clearly about the future of money in this country and the world.